And they usually have
drama outside of the
MB
building.
connected to
That's
it.
all I'm asking.
MB, Michelle.
You know,
Bryant.
I'm not talking about anybody in particular.
Of course you're not.
I'm not mentioning no names, but y'all know who it is.
Right. I can't go out in public.
Wake up complaining. Wake up crunchy.
No.
Come on, man.
No, I'm yet grateful.
Keep it outside.
I'm yet grateful. Yeah, I just
y'all will find out.
What
just say people like, what now, Michelle? What he do now? What did I
not me
do now?
It's you.
It's not me. I wasn't even here.
Right, but you planted the seed and watered and watered.
If I'm not present, I'm not accountable.
No.
Let me say good morning to the rational individual in the room. What up, Carvey P? How you doing this morning, bruh?
Hey, good morning, Michelle.
Hey, there he is. There
He's not rational either.
Yeah, what?
He just called me out of my name on his way in the building.
He called you out your name.
He called me a thief.
Why he call you a thief?
And I don't even understand that, Michelle. I borrowed his lighter one day. And I kept it for 2-3 days.
Look.
Wait, hold on.
So what? Listen,
Carvey, what you need a lighter for? You don't smoke cigarettes.
Well, see, I didn't go into that.
I'm just saying. It caught me off guard when you said his lighter. I'm like, Carvey don't smoke.
I got incense. I got
nice. Be quick with that. Be quick with that. Need. Okay, go ahead.
Because I knew I had used his lighter for 3 days, I said, "Man, you know what?
You borrowed his lighter and kept it for 3 days.
Well,
who does that?
We kept missing one another.
Oh, is that?
So I said to him, I said,
"You don't know where he sit?
No,
you couldn't leave it by his workstation.
We kept missing one another.
All right,
we weren't in here every morning together.
But you can't put it by the workstation. But go ahead.
But what had happened was, I said, Carvey, here. I paid him. I said, how much did the lighter cost you? He said, $2 or something like that. So I handed him $2. I said, here, man.
It might have had sentimental value, but go ahead.
It was no sentimental. Trust
me.
How
you just take people's stuff?
No,
and keep it.
I paid.
It was sentimental value.
So you gonna latch on to that? You just gonna try to.
You heard it,
dude?
Hey, Alex. Good morning.
Yes, dude.
Bear with us, Alex, in the midst of all of this foolishness.
But I paid him. I said, here, man, just get you a fresh one because I didn't use this, and I don't want it to quit working as soon as you get it back. So here you go. So that does not make me.
It
does not constitute me being a lighter thief.
It does. Just because you paid for it.
Kept it a little too long.
He didn't give you $2. He gave you a lighter.
Right.
He didn't give you $2.
So
you should have gave back to him what he gave to you.
So then on
that's why folks don't like the loan, y'all Negroes, not the.
Then on yesterday.
I moved past that already, Michelle. It doesn't matter that you moved past it. No one else has. Because people are in their car and at work and getting kids ready. Sitting at the kitchen table saying, Michelle, give me back what I gave you.
Called Be a Voice.
Don't keep my stuff.
Right. And somehow the voice was talking about me. Be a Voice.
What do you mean it was talking about you? Here we go.
Here go that same little crunchy dude you talking about. They talking about. Somebody asked the young lady, she had on a polo fit or something. She had on a polo pullover or whatever. And then they were talking about Polo Association.
Because there is fake polo. But
they said if it say association, it's not authentic.
It's not Ralph Lauren.
Assassin.
It's not Ralph Lauren.
Assassin. Polo Assassin.
So instead of association, you say Polo Assassin.
See, that's why your mic only works every now and then.
Carvey. I love that.
All my life.
But somewhere in the midst
Polo
of
Assassin.
Somewhere in the midst of this whole polo conversation, somebody goes, "Oh, is that Debo wear?"
Debo wear like that hat.
What is Debo wear? You said like that hat. What is Debo wear? What would that be?
See, this is the stuff I have to endure. Y'all even get it.
Nike with just the
Nike with
the word Nike, you know.
It's just Nike.
No.
No Nike.
No authentication about where it was made, what country.
So again,
this occurred. So he said Debo.
And you never even asked how I was doing, but I'm gonna tell you. Anyway.
That's rough, man. Debo wear.
As you can see, it ain't easy being me.
That's rough.
I will say this though.
Can I have some lotion while you over there crying? Do we have any?
He kept it. I loaned it to him. He has not given it back.
Oh, so now
I don't know what he's doing over in that corner because we know we can't see him over there now.
He a thief.
So he's the lotion thief.
That's too far.
It is too far. Ignore him. Just go move right past.
But I do want to say, I
like all you brothers that stay moisturized.
Yeah, but I love the folks that I work with. You guys are true characters.
Look, bro, you get like what that. You give. You started. Other folks are happy to finish it. That's why I tell people. What Keith said. Now, I don't like agreeing with Keith Paris under no circumstances.
No victims.
And I really don't. That's right. And I really don't like this saying, but there are times when it applies. There are no victims, only volunteers. And you, Debo, volunteer because you always start.
Every time.
You're a pot stirrer.
Yeah.
You're messy.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine being in your house every day. Lord have mercy.
Michelle, you wouldn't believe this. When I'm at home, I'm quiet.
I'm quiet for Jackie.
I'm very quiet.
Prayers go up for Jackie.
I'm quiet.
Because I couldn't imagine, bro.
At the house, I'm quiet.
Carver, you want your lotion back?
Oh, no. He can have it because who knows what he's been doing with it.
You know what? Again, inappropriate. Well, Debo, once again, you have used up minutes of my life that I cannot get back. And I
don't want you to get them back either. Whatever you got, you got.
You have taken
I'm gonna moisturize.
Valuable
time. Let me moisturize.
Oh, you do need to. You a little crevices. I had noticed in Peep Game that you was a little ashy. Y'all not pampered and pedicured like Keith.
That dude. That's a special kind of dude. Right
He's so special.
I hope he's listening from his lanai.
With his Fiji water. Oh, no, wait. He drinks something else with the electrolytes and some other food.
No, he was bringing in Fiji for a minute. I don't know what he brings
in. Yeah, he prides himself for having
we got
what other people don't have.
Out there, a refrigerator, whatever you want to call it, full of water. Our water ain't no good.
No,
he got to bring in his own water.
He does have to bring his own water, and then he brings his guest water. Yeah. He's real snobbish that way. He really is. Something else. You wonder why he don't have no friends. But anyway.
Now that's somebody whose wife I pray for.
Yeah. I mean, Rhonda definitely gets an award. She does.
Imagine.
What'd you say?
I said, imagine being at home listening to somebody talk about you and your wife.
Huh? He's used to it.
Carver, you've been at home listening to us talk about you, so you know how to do it.
Yeah, he had to call in. Jermaine be missing it though, because he be in the gym. Yeah. Folks have to tell Jermaine he got talked about.
I don't understand. Jermaine go to the gym and he come in here and eat up everything ain't nailed down.
That's why he go to the gym.
Come in with his breakfast. Then when it's time for lunch, he will leave the board and put it on auto. And say, what we eating today?
What'd you say? He got a built-in lunchtime. Yeah. And he don't miss
what we eating today? So they went yesterday.
His favorite part of the day is lunch.
Kyrie, you weren't with him yesterday, were you?
Nah, but I heard about that.
Yeah, they went to the deli yesterday over on 17th and Walnut.
Yeah. The deli on 7th? Okay, not familiar with it.
You never been to the deli? Oh, yeah.
It's a real deli? Or is it just called the deli?
It's they have corned beef.
Okay.
They have what has been noted as second to the best. I mean, if you can't afford Jake's, you can go to the deli.
Is Jake still good?
I'm told it's not, but again, they have kind of absorbed most of Jake's business
because Jake's had got a little foolish on their pricing.
Yeah, and portions.
They portions. Yeah, Jake's was. I was like, let me throw my deuces up to y'all. Yeah, because I don't mind paying. But y'all on some nonsense up here.
Yeah, but see what had happened. I'm gonna tell you what had happened.
What had happened?
Some white folks had bought it.
I thought white folks always owned it.
No. Jake was a Jew. These
you can't be white and be Jewish. What are you saying? Folks. Oh, because
so they
because they had expanded down to the Bucks Arena and all of that.
Yeah, and somewhere in the transition of all of that, the quality was lost.
Okay.
They were in the Grand Avenue Mall when it was still
there, right.
And at that time, a young man by the name of Mike was the proprietor, if you will. And I just watched the demise, if you will, of the infamous Jake's that my grandmama and my great-grandmama would stop there when they go to Gouts to get their groceries and everything. They say, you got to stop and get your Jake's.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I got put on the Jake's, it was just like the skies had parted. That corned beef was so good. And different ones, oh, my God.
Famous folks would come through there because of the world-renowned quality and sandwich.
Everybody knew.
And everybody knew. My boy Wayne would stand back there and carve that. You understand me? It was an experience.
It was masterful to watch.
Yes.
Dug the camaraderie while you was waiting in line for them to call your number.
Right.
And like one of my things about Jake's, and I don't know why, but we always timed it. When I was coming through the door, Herb Cole was coming through the door, or he was leaving. getting that corner sit if you decide to eat in and knock, just knock it back. But yeah, I had got to a point I stopped going to Jake's because I was like, again, I don't mind paying, but I can't pay for it. Like I can't pay for this.
Long and the short is they went to the deli and got them some sandwiches on yesterday. Not sandwiches, they got sandwiches.
Oh,
and
they brought, but okay.
They brought me nothing.
Did you ask for something? Was they supposed to read your mind? Did you know they were going?
All of that.
So you knew they were going.
Knew they were going.
You didn't ask them to bring you anything.
I did tell them.
You told them to bring you something.
And I told them
gladly pay them on Tuesday?
No. I could have paid them yesterday.
Okay, so then what was the problem?
I don't have no problem about no
Why you just didn't send the money and say, pick me up a sandwich?
Because I was busy with the client.
That'd take 5 seconds to give me some money.
No, but the client was in. We were in the middle of
I would have said, excuse me 1 second and walked away.
You had time. This is
you had time to say, bring me something.
I got to be wrong.
Run me my money before I walk out the door. You had time to say
no.
So okay, so they didn't bring you anything back. And what happened? Why didn't they bring anything back?
I ended up walking across the street.
You needed to exercise, but go ahead.
Eating chicken wings and macaroni and cheese, and they had.
Did you eat it?
Corned beef.
Was it good?
So how are you this fine day, Michelle?
Again, let me see how many minutes now I have lost. Oh my God, Jesus, 14. No, we started at 7:02. 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Yeah. That I will never get back. I'm good though.
You don't understand, Michelle.
Oh, Jesus.
This is like being on the couch for me. This is when I get a chance to talk.
I swear to God, we're gonna do a show.
To the world famous.
We're gonna do a segment.
The world famous.
On the couch. So what Qua got? On the porch with Qua. On the couch with Michelle.
Yeah, I like that already. On the couch with Michelle.
Because y'all, and it's gonna be all consumed with just the brothers that work at this radio station.
You gotta
y'all
get
can all do your own show.
Doug need to be on the couch.
Doug need to be on the couch. Quaku could be on the couch.
Yes, he could.
Even though he's a doctor, he could be on the couch.
He still got issues on the couch.
Like Will Martin definitely need to be on the couch.
Definitely, absolutely.
I'm just saying, all of the women that just be looking at y'all like,
Miss Jackie, she should be on the couch.
Miss Jackie, there's nothing wrong with Miss Jackie.
Miss
Jackie's our receptionist.
Miss Jackie tried to go off on me yesterday, Michelle.
About what?
Because she spilled the creamer all over her outfit. She swore because we all use the same creamer.
SPILLED?
Spilled.
That implies that, or sounds like there's phonetically ease in your spelling. Spilled.
Spilled. SPILLED.
Spilled. Okay, go ahead.
She spilled.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The creamer on her. So she's standing right there.
The creamer with an AH at the end.
Creamer. Yeah, the creamer. She's standing there going.
So she was getting you together.
That she wet for all down her pants leg with creamer. But what the hell do I have to do with that?
Did you do it?
Well, I used it before she did, but she swore I left the top off.
Did you?
I didn't. I said, Jackie, the top was fine. So she turned the top and it kept turning.
Tebow.
She said, oh, the top, it must be cracked or something. So long and the short, I had to watch the front desk.
Was there a short of it? Because I felt like I just got the long. Okay.
Run the board.
There was a short.
This was
you should have did that first.
This was during your show. She come in.
Oh, this was happening?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
notice
that.
That's why I kept staying out there because I was watching the phones.
I just thought you was being trifling and not doing your job. I didn't realize something was going on.
Have you ever known me to be trifling and not do my job?
I've known you to be trifling. So not doing your job could be a part of that.
It could fall up under that.
Debo, I'm now on 17 minutes.
I was just trying to see how long we could do this. Carver, you all right over there? Need some more lotion?
You are the devil's spawn. That's what you are. All right, family. So, and community, I apologize. But we have to clearly work through this stuff so we can provide quality programming. Jackie ain't doing her job at home and dealing with this man and send him up here to us. And then we got to go through it. And I'm going to just tell y'all, we family. So if I got to go through it, y'all got to go through it too. And for the people that turned over, y'all can come back now. Y'all can come back. Miss Jenkins, who done went and got her a second cup of coffee, be like, they ain't talking about nothing.
Who was Miss Jenkins? You talking about Jackie Mama?
No, I'm not talking about Jackie.
That's Jackie's maiden name, Jenkins.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I thought you were talking about her mama.
No, her
mama. You talk about my wife, mama.
He's so irritating. So anyway, what I did last night, attended, moderated, or hosted a panel discussion regarding Milwaukee Public Schools.
The gentleman that was here yesterday. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
got it.
And there's a group called Action Committee that meets, I think, on a weekly basis. Tuesdays at 1:00, and I got to get the address again because I came in without my notebook.
As usual,
it's in the car. And I'm just letting everybody know, if you are texting me this morning, I did not bring my phone. Phone, no, I walked out without it. Phone is at the house. So I have no idea about any of y'all like telling me, to kill Debo and move on. Like, no, I missed all of that.
Hear the man out. I need your support.
For the folks that regularly text me and be like, could you tell Ike we trying to get to some news? I don't have my phone. But the meeting was held. Thank you so much to the number of people that came through. Many of the listeners.
And you can just get your text on here.
That's okay. Nah, because I don't need you to see what people be saying about you. So, and they'll tell it to your face. There's some black folks that are like, honey.
Some of them got my number already.
Yeah,
I'll be seeing some of the stuff.
Keep it 100. But first of all, thank you to the number of people that showed up. A number of folks that listened to the station. Big time community leaders, folks who have a presence all the time. Thank you to Judge Taylor, who was in the room, Aisha Carr, who was in the room, MPS Director James Ferguson was in the room, and a number of, like I said, civic and community leaders who always show up to talk about these important issues. So the panel, which consisted of Alan Borsick, who was over at Marquette University, but infamous for his time as a reporter, editor over at the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, who focused on issues of education. Michael Holt, over at the community, is it the Community Journal for Michael Holt? Debo? Is it the Community Journal for Michael Holt?
Yeah, it was. I don't know.
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah, doing his thing over there. Michael Holt, MPS Board Director Leonard, he was present, and NAACP branch president Clarence Nicholas, and we had a woman, and I don't have her name in front of me, who was an architect from an architectural firm who has done work with educational facilities, both at the K-12 level and collegiate level, most notably Hmong Peace Academy and their redesign. And so it was a good, discussion about what first of all, people had to frame out some of the issues, and then how do we go forward? Some of the information that was provided, even though some of this stuff, is still a kick to the gut to hear it when they talk about that. For the most part, 20% of MPS students are performing at proficiency or above. When you break that number down by Black children, that number falls significantly in terms of proficiency. Math and reading, the scores are abysmal. The NAEP testing information was mentioned by Borsick, and you just overall get like a knot in the pit of your stomach when you realize that we are sending children out of the house every day, out of the community every day, into institutions, expecting a product and expecting a service and a return on the investment that taxpayers put into education. And that's not happening. And it's not happening for a variety of reasons. And there's not enough finger pointing in the world to be able to put the blame at the feet of one person, one entity, one organization. But there are things that are clearly being done wrong. There are things that are willfully, out of line, and resources and decisions that are being made that are not being made in the best interest of all of Milwaukee's children. So there was a lot of discussion last night. One of the things, though, that I appreciated about the discussion is that at the end, because people were asked in the audience, on the panel, identify, because we gotta start somewhere, and there are folks that have already started. So I don't want to imply at all that work is not already being done. But as a community and a collective, not just individual organizations, where should we be focusing attention? So one of the things that stood out right away was the idea that we got to pay attention to what's happening with the superintendent selection. It was pointed out, and I got to go to break, and I'll talk about it after the break. It was pointed out, that the superintendent, you function at the pleasure of the board, and you move at the direction of the board. And while there is some degree of autonomy in relationship to that role, you got to understand where the marching orders come from and what that looks like in terms of accountability. And so I appreciated that former MPS school board director Aisha Carr was in the room when she said and flagged, hey, there are 4 seats that are going to be up for election on the MPS board of directors this coming spring. Nomination papers are being circulated right now for those 4 seats. Who's going to run for them? Because if we, in this case, want to say some of these issues start at the top, well, the top is DPI. But that next level in terms of local control, that's the board of directors. So I got to take a break. I'll talk about it on the other side. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
The holidays, and holiday trips, and holiday toys, and holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $3,750 total value on this Silverado when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
I'm Stephen Hopkins, Program Manager for Critical Response Team. I'm at WNOV right now.
So, Stephen, what's something simple that you're thankful for today?
Being alive and free.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Is there something you're looking forward to this holiday season?
Seeing my loved ones and, spending some time with them.
Perfect.
Amen.
WNOV, this your boy Jermaine Rideout, producer extraordinaire. What am I?
Hello, my name is Johnny L. Jones, one of the founders of Experience MKE, who proudly presents to all the All Black Experience, which is happening 11/29/24. We are also familiar with the All White Experience in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So, Johnny, how do you show appreciation to your loved ones during the holidays?
I show my appreciation and gratitude toward the loved ones throughout the holiday, well as the year. Pick up the phone, check on people, because you really never know what anyone is going through, and just you reaching out saying hello, how you doing, need anything. You just don't understand sometimes how much that impact other people sometimes.
Hello, I'm Hope Manuel of Milwaukee Hope Initiative.
So Hope, I got a question for you. Sure, what holiday memory are you most thankful for?
Probably the big Christmases we used to have when I was younger. All the family was there, all the cousins, my both grandparents were still around, right. And, just riding bikes through the living room that we got that morning for Christmas and just tearing up the house.
Thanks. Well, appreciate you.
Thank you.
What's up? It's Jamiroquai Killer with the Black Policy Initiative. I'm here at WNOV.
Yo, Jamiroquai, so what's one thing you've learned this year that you're thankful for?
And one thing I learned that I'm thankful for is to not be prideful and to not think about myself all the time. You know, I want to spend next year pouring into everybody else except for me, because when I give to others, it always come back.
Can you share a time when you share love to someone?
Man, every day. You know, I got a lot of people around me that help fuel my fire and help make me better. And I want to keep them around. I want to keep them energized because I need them. And so I try to give it back to them every single chance I get.
You know, I just want the kids to be happy. And, you know, Bonquisa, I know when we got married, I vowed to give you diamonds and pearls. But when I hurt my back at work, my workman's comp could only get zirconia and Gannon necklaces. I also said that when we moved out of your mama's house, we were going to move into a place double her size. That's why I got 2 trailers and put them together. Yes, baby, double wide. All those things I done for you and the kids, but I still have these Christmas blues because I'm spending Christmas out the kids. And
is it on? I'm glad this was tickles you.
But you know what? One thing I want to tell you.
Could you turn JT off, please?
Christmas last year, when you served up all the turkey and everything, and you know all of the trimmings and everything, when the cranberry dressing got round to me, there was none left. So please,
I can't believe nobody.
I hope you have 2 cans of cranberry dressing in there because I love that cranberry.
Oh my God!
Please, thank you, and please.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Lord have mercy. All right, y'all. So now the Debo just messed up my whole morning. again, before I went to break, talking about MPS and the meeting that was held last night and what was identified and flagged for us, thanks to former MPS board director Aisha Carr, who says, hey, any part of this conversation that you're having, you have to prioritize not only, the issues you've raised, but who is going to help lead the ship. And so, yes, there are 4 seats that are open, and she named the districts. I think it was 5, 6, 7, and 4. I have to go back and look specifically to see which ones are in play, that people are already circulating nomination papers. And there may have been some folks that were thinking about running, given all of the different challenges that MPS has been facing and not being happy with the way that the school board of directors has necessarily responded. There have been people that have said, you know what, I'm thinking about it. I'm flagging for folks that, if you're thinking about it, the process is underway. Gathering signatures to get your name on the ballot has already started. It started on December 1st. The young man, James Ferguson, who got the seat that Aisha Carr had formerly held, he was even saying, hey, I got my nomination papers here. Judge Taylor was there. And she said, in addition to everything y'all talking about, pay attention to the judicial races. See, this whole thing about voting does matter. For folks that are like, it doesn't matter. You're putting people in place on the school board via a vote that's going to in turn make decisions on this community's behalf. We are giving a lot of power to a few people to make decisions for tens of thousands of children and families. Because those decisions don't just impact those 60, 70,000 kids that's still in the district. It impacts the parents and the families and the support system and the community around those children. So that number easily doubles or triples in terms of impact for folks that say voting does not matter. So what Lena Taylor flagged is understanding who you putting on the bench and how people who are on the bench will in turn interact with young people coming through the door who may not have completed their education, who have not figured out what they need to be doing to get back on track, and getting those people not just a sentence or a fine or whatever it is, but getting them connected to resources or making that a part of their plan. Because we got a corrective action plan for you. And if you do it, great. If you don't, you go to jail. But how can I use my role as a judge to be able to help steer folks in the right direction? So those 2 things stood out right away, that we got to be involved in the superintendent selection piece, and that we have to figure out who is running for these offices. And that I'm going to say to some of these organizations who got education committees as a part of what you do, groups who say they're concerned about, these children. The number of organizations that have not been holding candidate forums is a disgrace. It is sorry, and it is pathetic. Because I don't know how many organizations I know that have an education committee. How many education committees that you are a part of in your sorority fraternity, your church, your NAACP, your social action organization that have flagged for you, we got upcoming elections and the school board has 4 seats in which, those seats are in play and we need to be paying attention. And who's talking about this yet? We got some folks that really are doing more harm than good, because people think you at the helm. People think you watching out for us. You come and you get these reports that really are about nothing back to your organizations, and critical information that we need, we're not getting. And again, you raised your hand and said you wanted to be the education committee. You raised your hand and said you wanted to be the chair of X, Y, and Z. So what does that look like by way of work? That was one of the things for me that I walked out of that room with last night, is that the folks who say we're going to do this, you got to do it. And if you don't want to do it for real, then get out the way and stop putting placeholders in place that make it look like on paper we doing something when in reality we not. We got to deal with this education piece. The numbers were sickening that people were providing last night. And I picked on Alan Borsick for a minute in that I talked about, he had written this column in which he said that some of this felt like Groundhog's Day, the movie. I keep waking up and doing the same thing. In a lot of cases, we facing the same issues, same challenges that we were 20 and 30 years ago. There's an article in the paper today that speaks to MPS overcrowding. Now, I'm going to tell you, I believe that some of these stories, roll out. I want to pay attention to how some of these stories are written and what's being investigated or fed to reporters or, suggestions for stories. Because I get suggestions for stories all the time. Frequently, I ignore them until I can do my homework, because I understand if you're sending it to me, you got a horse in the race. There's something that you're trying to get out of it. So before I let you use me as a vehicle to spread something, I got to understand why I'm talking about it. And if I can, what all the different angles are to a story. MPS overcrowding. So, and under utilization. The title, which MPS schools are the most overcrowded and which are the emptiest? School usage ranges from 9% to 177% of student capacity. The article opens up at Andrew S. Douglas Middle School in Milwaukee. Just 106 students enrolled last year. The school can accommodate almost 1,200 students. So you do the math. That's got to be the 9% school, because the school can hold almost 1,200 students. They only had a little over 100 to be enrolled. At the same time, Whittier School, that's Southside, had an enrollment of 143 elementary students last year. Their building has a capacity of 81. They give these extreme examples across the district, and they have begun to talk about the utilization rate of these buildings. So there's all this data that's being generated. As people are talking about which schools to close, it's going to be easy to look at a Andrew Douglas and be like, you could hold 1,200. You only got 100. You know what it costs to keep that building open, functioning, staff. We could just close that school and those 106 kids can find somewhere else to go. You see, I believe that there will be, while a lot of this is fact-based, but it also is in how we tell a story that can get us to a conclusion. That conclusion being which schools we close, which schools we expand, which schools we deny resources to, which schools we uplift, elevate, and make sure that they continue to grow. This consulting firm and MPS are saying we're going to gather more public input, okay? And so I'm looking for when those sessions will take place. And I just pulled up an article real quick to see if I've seen anything yet, because we got all the schools, again, that are at play. I don't see it in this article. I will reach out and try to find this information because I want to see the public sessions. I want to, and the fact that nobody from MPS for real ever reaches out here at the radio station on a real regular level, other than when Aisha Carr was in office, to say, this is the things you need to think about. This is what's going on in the district. And yeah, I could call and reach out to them and say, can I get somebody in? So I'm gonna do my part in this whole thing. But I just know what it looks like when people trying to be engaged. I know what it looks like when people trying to actually talk to the constituency that they serve. So either way, just real quick, helping people understand that we have a real challenge when it comes to MPS, and that some of the justification for closing these schools will certainly center around building capacity. Building utilization, because it's hard to justify. We only got 100 students. So they have some schools that are above 125% capacity. Wait, because I know no one will be surprised. Whittier, 95th Street School, Greenfield Bilingual, Maryland Avenue Montessori, Reagan, College Prep, Bayview, Montessori, James Fenimore Cooper School, Jeremiah Curtin Leadership Academy, Lowell International Elementary, Humboldt Park, Hawley Environmental, Fairview Elementary, Morgandale Elementary, Burbank. So just an example, over at Morgandale Elementary, they have a student capacity of 425. They got 572 kids in the building. Humboldt, capacity of 425. They got 589 kids in the building. Now, let's look at schools that have below 50% capacity. Pay attention to where these schools are located. Andrew Douglas, I already mentioned them. They have a 9% capacity. Hopkins, Lloyd Community School, 21% capacity. The building can hold 614 students. They got 130. Keefe Avenue School, 24% capacity. They can hold 533 kids. They got 128. Roosevelt Creative Arts Middle School, 24% capacity, utilization rate. They can hold 931 students. They got 226. Rufus King International Middle School, they can hold 779. They got 208 students, 27% utilization rate. Highmount School, 28% utilization rates, only 143 students. Washington High School can hold 1,300 kids. They got 366 students, 28% utilization rate. Brown Street Academy, 32%, only got 203 students. Lincoln Center of the Arts can hold almost 1,000 students. They have 308, 32%. Hampton, 149 students. They can hold 452. Transition, Seaford, Wilmington, Sherman, James Madison, 36% utilization rate. Westside Academy, Jackson Elementary. Do you hear where all these schools are located? James E. Groppe, 102 students. Our Avenue, Clark Street, Storms, Marshall High School. Marshall High School can hold 1,600 students. They got 669. Morse Middle School. Morse Middle School was like the blue ribbon middle school. That was the feeder. You wanted to get into Morse for your middle school experience. Morse Middle School can house up to 1,000 or a little over 1,000 students. They only have 414 students in the building. Dr. King, 44%. 295 students can house 678. Oliver Wendell Holmes, North Division. North Division can hold 819 students. They got 374 kids in the building. Bryant School, George Washington Carver Academy, and La Follette. Where are all those schools located? North side of Milwaukee. So where all y'all kids go to school at, man? We running them to the South Side, to predominantly white and Latino communities, chasing a better education. Not appreciating that what we're also doing is helping to close schools in our own community. I'm going to be on this for a minute. Y'all going to probably get sick of me on this for a minute because it's that serious. How is this happening? What is going on that we have not figured out how to get what we need from these schools so that we feel comfortable sending our children to these schools? I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Our school districts are becoming like our community. No goods and services in our community except BS chicken places and crab lobster mess everywhere you turn. But substantive stores where we need to do real shopping and real things need to take place, places to dine in, places to go see a movie, that's not in the city of Milwaukee. We got to follow and chase white folks out to the suburbs to utilize what's been put in place for them. In education, we chasing white folks to the south side to utilize what's been put in place for them. And we are not demanding and rolling up our sleeves and working to make sure that we got the same thing or better in our own neighborhoods.
Michelle, is that because Milwaukee still basically functions as a segregated city?
It does. I think that certainly plays a role. But let's be clear. You know, there are things that we can do if we leverage all of the tools and resources that we have at our fingertips. If we actually put people on that school board who are going to make decisions in the best interest of everybody. Because right now, you got way too many members of the school board who are, you know, supported, helped, recruited by the teachers union. The purpose of the teachers union, and that was said and mentioned last night, is to protect teachers. Now, they can say families and students, but that's not the absolute real goal of the teachers union. It's to protect teachers. And so they have done a great job of stacking the deck on the board that will make decisions to protect them. And one of the conversations that I had last night, when you take that protection from the MTEA, when they recruit you or when they say we get behind your candidacy, we're going to put our army of volunteers and even utilize and pimp these kids to get out on the streets, to knock doors, you know, to get your signatures, to, you know, help you raise some money, to get, you know, people passing out your literature. We'll help you get you some literature printed. When you take all that help, then it's hard to get on the board and vote against what they asking you to do, because you appreciate that when it's time for re-election, you may not get re-elected because that support won't be there and they'll work against you. That's why you had so many people like Alina and a Lakeisha who used to be, to the extent that they could be, mostly independently financed in terms of the money that they laid out for their media campaign. What people did around them and for them, they didn't control. But there's a cost to pay when you take help from certain entities and organizations. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there anyone that's trying to use the resources that we do have and in the situations that we are experiencing to our benefit? Let's say they're not 1,000 student high schools, but they would be a network of smaller, 200, 300 high schools, maybe, that would share things like football teams and orchestras and choirs. But basically, I mean, you would have smaller classrooms, more individual attention. I mean, I go through the neighborhood and I see blocks where you have just empty lots, and what I see is like, I mean, spaces for green and kids to play. Inside, I mean, we could use what we have, which is, you know, less than what we should have, to our benefit. It could be a garden there, like Andre made, everywhere.
I mean, I hear that part of it, but the question and the issue that we've got to deal with is funding, decisions made about where resources are going to go. So there are the things that we certainly can do to enhance those spaces. But we got to have and be ready to deal with the fiscal part of this whole thing, which the district is, you know, and the board is going to be talking about, is how do we best manage the money and the resources that we have? And right now, all of the data is stacking up to move away from North Side schools. And so while we're trying to figure out what we can do to utilize green spaces and creative programming and, you know, things that enhance, you know, we've seen North Division have, I think, 5 schools within that building at one time. It didn't work.
To spread them out over the neighborhoods.
I mean, but again, we got to have people willing to send their children to what we create. We got to change the mindset and change the outcomes of what these parents are getting at these schools that are forcing a lot of them to choose the South Side. Because we can spread it out. We got the buildings, we got the space. At this point, we don't have the students. And yeah, we can educate and smaller classrooms and deal with the children that's in the building. But at some point, when you're doing business, you realize I got some great regular customers, but I don't have enough regular customers to keep my doors open. That's what MPS is running into, particularly on the North Side. They got some great folks that's working and committed to staying in the community, but they don't have enough to justify what it costs to operate those buildings and staff them. We got to figure out what we say to our community and do, more importantly, that changes how our community sees our schools. White ice is not colder. You do not have to run to the south side of Milwaukee to get a quality education. That's what we got to work on. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
So the model would have to change. It'd have to be more flexible. But you would take the schools to where the kids are right now.
I mean, but again, there are schools where these children are. They choosing not to use those schools. They want to go somewhere else. So the schools being where the kids are is not the problem. The problem is people don't want, it's just like folks that don't want to shop in a local neighborhood grocery store. I'd rather travel to Menominee Falls or Germantown and go to their Walmart and they Metro Market because it's nicer, better, shinier, newer, cleaner than the one in my neighborhood. That's where we...
High School of the Arts doesn't have that problem.
Who doesn't have that problem?
High School of the
Arts. Yes and no, and depending on, you know, it's a boutique school. So they
could all be boutiques. They could all be boutiques.
I mean, yes and no, because do we have the resources to make every school a boutique school? I don't know. But, and particularly like a lot of these schools we're talking about are middle schools. You know, so we don't get to do a bunch of boutique schools in terms of middle school. In fact, I only mentioned, I think 3 maybe 4 high schools. Nope, I'm wrong. I mentioned like 5 high schools in this whole conversation. Most of these are middle schools that are on track, you know, if these numbers stand up to be closed. Thank you, sir. I got guests coming in. I appreciate the call. Let me see if I can work this other caller in real quick. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for taking my call. I know you don't have your phone, so I wanted to call in and just share this tidbit that I don't think was mentioned. So when you talk about the list of closures or potential merging schools, it's important to note that with the current or the referendum that just recently passed of $252 million, the majority of the revenue that was generated from that referendum all came from District 4. And if you do an analysis of the list of the mergers, the closures, but also talking about the utilization rates of the school buildings, The underutilized schools predominantly fall in District 4.
Wait. Let me back you up because you talk fast.
I'm sorry.
No. Just sound somebody that's educated, child. You talk fast though, and what you said, I don't want that to be lost on people. So go back when you talked about the referendum, and you said that the majority of that was connected to District 4. Say that part again.
Okay, so the referendum that passed in April of this year, the $252 million, of that, the majority of that revenue was generated from District 4. District 4 that I previously represented and that Dr. Ferguson now represents is the largest district in MPS. And it also has the highest population and it generates the most revenue for the entire MPS system. When you look at the list of closures, potential closures or mergers, you have to understand that the majority, about 90% so far of the list that they revealed or that they put out in the public, about 90% of those schools fall in District 4. So essentially what that says to a taxpayer is, I took your rhythm, your money, and I'm handing you it as a result blue. I'm taking your school. That's why I always let me paying attention to school board elections, because that's where those decisions are made. Ultimately, the school board will determine what schools should merge and what that will look like and how that will impact families or what schools should close. And so that's one of the reasons why last night I brought up the 4 elections, because it's very important as we talk about the superintendent race, as we talk about the upcoming decisions, the critical decisions that will directly impact the Black community. We have to pay attention to where our money is going. They got our money, and now they're talking about shutting down our schools.
So because you said it, I'm going to say it, I'm going to paraphrase it in my way. Tell me if I'm wrong. But basically the concept that the bulk of the money that's going to be generated because of that referendum, because of the size of the 4th district in terms of MPS, that district is so large and it generates so much revenue that basically this district would pay for it, but then have the majority of the school closings would happen in their district. So their money in turn would be used to go help funnel expansion and resources in another district. Am I saying that right?
Absolutely. Perfect. That has been the fight since the beginning. People are surprised by the list, but I actually put out that list 2 years ago during town hall. And so we were warned, we were told why certain people, or not why certain people, but why we shouldn't be so eager to put our support behind the referendum, because this was the future forecast of MPS. Now that the referendum has passed, now we need to be talking about where our dollars are going to go that will help aid and assist our schools, our communities, our children, our families. That's the discussion, and that discussion can only be had with a board that's willing to hear us and that understands our value.
So can you remind me real quick of which districts you said had elections for those board seats?
So District 4, my former district, which Dr. Ferguson is currently in now, so he's actually up for re-election, right, maybe like a month after he was elected. District 4, District 5, which currently is covered by Director Julie Gopal Gandhi. District 7, I think that is Henry Leonard, who was there yesterday. I believe that's his district. And I want to say District 8. Both of them are kind of like South Side seats, but that means nothing when we're talking about taking control and doing what we need to do for our children. So Director Gopal Gandhi, Director now Dr. Ferguson, Director Leonard, and Director Garcia. Those are the seats. And I can get you the information in a more formal capacity. I'll send it to you.
So let me just ask this question. And for folks that you recognize a voice or you think you know who it is, this is Aisha Carr, former MPS Board of Director. And so thank you so much for being engaged last night, continuing to be engaged, and for this information. So I want to ask a quick question. Where do I go to begin to figure out when you talk about how revenues come into the district, and you said District 4 generates a major portion of that? Where do I get that data from? How do I, as a regular constituent, know? And I mean, because first of all, when people always talk about some people playing checkers and some people are playing chess, to understand that I need to pay attention to where the money in some of these cases from the district is being generated, we're not asking that question. We're just talking about equity, but nobody is thinking about fiscally that we actually contribute per district into the system. So where do we go to get that, Aisha?
I can answer that, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. That can be answered in a couple of different ways. So one, I can say, and just to speak to the structure, the organizational structure of MPS, at the very top of the totem pole, you have the Citizens of Milwaukee. And under the Citizens of Milwaukee, there are 3 specific departments or divisions or entities that are accountable to the citizens of Milwaukee. That's the Milwaukee Board of School Directors, where you can get this information. That is the Office of Board Governance, that basically works with school board directors and works on policies and audits and everything else. And then there's the Office of Accountability and Efficiency, that really makes sure that the checks and balances are in place for the district. And so those 3 entities is where you can go to get this information. I also want to say, too, it's very important to hold elected officials accountable. As a constituent, at any given time, you should be able to contact your elected representative and request this information either through an open records request or directly through your director. When I held town halls, this was information that I brought and handed out to my constituents. But I also want to note, too, it's not easy to comprehend a budget of, say, $1.7 billion. And that was one of the challenges that I struggled with when I first joined the board. But there are resources and organizations out here to help families understand, families and other key stakeholders understand how the money is spent, how the money is generated. And one of the entities that I love to refer is Georgetown Edunomics Lab. It's a virtual platform as well as in person. They offer courses, they offer one-on-one sessions, but they really break it down how the profit or how the revenue is generated, where it's coming from, where the money is going, and what we can do to change and make this a more sustainable machine. And so I can provide that information to you too, and that is something that I'm going to work with Dr. Ferguson to make sure that he provides that for his constituents as well.
Well, I'm going to just tell you, I'm up against the clock, but Aisha, I will reach out to you because I definitely want to get more information, go through some of the training through Georgetown, if that's possible, for everyday lay people to get that information. But, we got to have folks who have been either on the inside or closely aligned with these systems to help us understand. And I love what you said about accountability. And I'm looking at it at both the school directors, level, but also at the city and at the county and at the state level, because I don't know how you, a state legislator, a county legislator, or a city legislator, understanding all these schools that's being targeted, and I don't see what you're doing about it. I don't see what the conversations are. I don't see the community meetings, and I don't care if we're not legislatively doing nothing in Madison right now. What are y'all doing back in y'all districts? Because this is the time when you come home and you do work, when you don't have to be in the Capitol every day for committee meetings. But I don't see it. I don't see these conversations. Join this.
I am more than willing to come on to provide this information, to share, to work with organizations to establish the partnership or help with establishing the partnership. Like, I'm not dead. And so as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to fight.
Well, thank you so much, former Director Carr. I appreciate it. I will reach out to you, sis, so we can, figure out what we can do to make sure we moving this thing forward. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And
yes, ma'am. You too. All right, y'all. I gotta take a break. But do y'all see? Did y'all hear what she just said? That not only are you talking about closing our schools on the north side, and in particular the 4th district, but it's like what we see them do with the city of Milwaukee. We're the biggest economic engine for the state in terms of what we contribute to the state's overall budget and revenues. But people want to take our money and then mess over us and give our money and the proportion that we pay to other communities in a disproportionate way. So we struggle. I never thought about it from the perspective that there are districts in the school system that generate more revenue dollars, students, whatever. And these are the very ones that you mess over or that you decide it's not working for whatever reason. So, yep, you paying in, and we're going to use your money to build up schools on the on the south side. And it may not be that simple, but it feels like that right now. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
This Christmas, join the Salvation Army for a Milwaukee tradition. The 35th annual Christmas Family Feast will return on Wednesday, 25th at the
Experience MKE, who proudly presents to all the All Black Experience, which is happening 11/29/24. We are also familiar with the All White Experience in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
So, Johnny, how do you show appreciation to your loved ones during the holidays?
I show my appreciation and gratitude toward the loved ones throughout the holiday, well as the year. Pick up the phone, check on people, because you really never know what anyone is going through, and just you reaching out saying hello, how you doing, need anything. You just don't understand sometimes how much that impact other people sometimes.
Hello, I'm Hope Manuel of Milwaukee Hope Initiative.
So Hope, I got a question for you. Sure, what holiday memory are you most thankful for?
Probably the big Christmases we used to have when I was younger. All the family was there, all the cousins, my both grandparents were still around, and just riding bikes through the living room that we got that morning for Christmas and just tearing up the house.
Thanks. Well, appreciate you.
Thank you.
let him take a car. And I said, use the bus. Well, he was raised in Milwaukee. So you got the luxury of a bus system that literally could take you anywhere he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, okay, whatever. And he was just taking the bus. He used to take the bus down to the Bucks Arena where he worked. And, he just took the bus. He was cool. So my son called me probably about a week, not even a week, maybe 3 days after he had been there, after I dropped him off. He said, hey, the only bus down here is the one Rosa Parks wouldn't get off of. There ain't no buses down here. And I started laughing. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, these people don't have no bus transit system like Milwaukee. Ma, these people got to have cars. And literally the bus that Rosa Parks had been on at that time was on the campus of Alabama State University. And so when I tell you that education, first it tripped me out because I never knew that. But it cracked me up because we do take this for granted. Mm-hmm. The level of mobility and access. I can catch the bus to the airport, to just anywhere. We take it for granted. But you invoke Rosa's name. Mm-hmm. I gotta ask, because it seems like it just makes sense. It's natural. Milwaukee County Transit, we do things to honor people, uplift people, educate people. Rosa Parks is a natural fit because of the type of protest. But we didn't always have this. So where did this come from?
Oh, well, I don't know. Bill 2, if you want me to take this? Okay, okay, I have that, no pun intended, I have that insider track.
Okay. It was intended. I got all the pun. It was intended. You such a liar.
I'm doing the Keith, right? I'm doing the Keith.
Yes, you are doing the Keith. Oh my God. Spare us.
Yeah, okay. So I was part of Milwaukee County Transit team as part of their marketing department. I'm Bill 2's predecessor. Okay. And so I was with the organization for nearly 9 years. And so back in 2015, the then marketing director, Brendan Conway, he came up with the idea of doing a tribute for Rosa Parks. And at the time, what we did, we had just a day and we came up with a poster, designated poster. We had shared the information with the community and asked them, be part of this recognition. And so that was the first year. And then after that, as a matter of fact, during that first year, someone anonymously put a rose on one of the seats. Of the bus. So somebody had where the sign was. So that was someone's personal tribute. And then, Brendan heard about it. And so then the following year, what we did was we have, MCTS has 400 buses. Mm-hmm. So we ordered 400 plus roses. Mm-hmm. And we put roses the night before. We had all of the cleaners and tankers. Mm-hmm. Not only did they put the sign on the designated scene, we even went back to the records to see where exactly she sat on the bus. And so we tried to okay, to be this road, this here. So that's what we did. So we tried to make that as accurate, close to accurate as possible. And all the buses have the sign, have the roses, and it's been going strong ever since. And then I believe this is the 30th the scholarship. So that's how it all came to be.
And because some folks were because this happened over the last 3 days, December 1st through the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. And I had somebody say, well, why wasn't this done during Black History Month? Because it was December 1st that the incident actually occurred.
Yep.
Right. In which she was like, nah, it's enough of that. Right. That happened on December 1st.
Yes. But it's also, I think it's important because we shouldn't just celebrate Black History Month for 28 days, right? So if we're able to, really give credit, to our pioneers and, people throughout the year. I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to. Right.
I'm going to say, whoever came up with that slogan at McDonald's, Black 365.
Amen.
Timeless. Best marketing campaign ever. Black 3. You look like you want to say something, Jackie?
No, I'm just
okay. Yeah. So we're going to talk about this. But then also there's an element of the scholarship that's been added. But just for a second. The response. So somebody initially places that red rose. You got county staff that's observant, pay attention. It's we need to duplicate that. We decide to move this forward. What has the community's response been to this program? And I don't know who wants to
Yeah,
speak to
absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to mention that it's so respected by our community. Our writers, they love to see this. They honor it. They respect it. And I think it speaks volumes to what Milwaukee County, what the community is, what the people in the community really cherish.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite part. Yeah, that's my favorite part is just seeing the amount of encouragement that we see on social media, people getting on the bus, actually wanting to go on that day, December 1st, the first day we do it, getting on the bus, taking a photo, a selfie, and posting it on social for everybody else to see.
I never thought about doing that.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest. So I've never seen it.
Okay.
Because I don't ride the bus. So to
You
be
gotta
deliberate.
ride the bus.
Exactly. So to be, and I think it's a great invitation to the community. Doing something that you don't do, haven't had to do, or just typically it's not your mode of transportation, but that call to the community to say, come be a part of this. Because as soon as you said, take selfie, like, yep, I'm right here. I'm like, I saw it all happening. Now I missed it. So I'm gonna have to wait till next year, God willing, and be able to do this. But I love that idea. And so now I'm doing too much because I'm telling you, like when we were doing Black Advocacy Day at the State Capitol. So Black Advocacy Day at the State Capitol started because when I started working in the Capitol with Senator Taylor's office, February came, and I said, what are we doing for Black History Month? There was no Black History Month program. And so I said, huh? But see, I'm Black History major. So, that's an unfair advantage. But I'm like, no, this don't come and go and we don't. So she said, well, come up with a program. We had our program in the Senate parlor and honored some Black folks. And it was a 1 day, 1 hour thing. That expanded into what we do now at the State Capitol by way of Black Advocacy Day and month-long programming, and then culminating. And every year we was like, how we make it bigger, how we make it better, how do we add? So instead of being in the Senate parlor, the day culminates now at the governor's residence with the reception and Black folks being able to come into the governor's residence who may have never gotten an opportunity to do that. So while y'all was sitting here talking, I was like, okay, so we got the seat, got the rows, I'm like, do we have a recording that runs on the bus that tells people the story about Rosa Parks while they riding? Is that? I'm just saying.
I was gonna say our 10-year anniversary is coming up next year, so we want to make it bigger and better.
I mean, because I'm like, that would actually kind of be a little cool too. That while I'm riding, that something just comes over. I don't know how the bus PA system work, whatever, but just say, hey, you may have noticed when you got on the bus today. Here's X, Y, and Z, and this is what happened. And even like a clip of Rosa talking. I'm sorry, I'm just doing too much.
No. I love that
idea. So look, y'all like, Michelle, we ain't come here for no new assignments now. But so that part is just so incredible. And thank you for the work that has continued around that. But get me to this scholarship because that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so who can help me with the scholarship portion?
Yes, so this scholarship was really birthed out of Milwaukee County Transit's desire to provide resources for young students in our community. Bill, too, can speak a little bit more into what the scholarship is, the deadlines, and all that great stuff.
Yep, so it is for graduating high school seniors.
Okay, wait, before you do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to know where you got your glasses from, but okay.
I got 6 pairs.
Okay, so we'll have that conversation. Like everybody in here got on some Boss glasses. I'm sorry, y'all know I'm beautiful. Y'all know fashion first. The glasses is fly to death. Y'all killing the game. Okay, wait. Back to business. Go ahead, Bill. Stop sidetracking me and talk about what you came here for.
So it's for graduating Milwaukee County high school seniors who are interested in going into a trade school, university, or college. They just have to write an essay scholarship in memory of one of Rosa Parks's quotes, and the deadline to apply is January 6th, so it is coming up at 8 a.m. So we got a little over a month for people to apply, but it's just a great way for us to reach out to our youth and get them engaged. And my favorite part is reading the essays. So I know Jackie could probably tell you a lot about that. you've also, read the stories and the poems that they write. They really write it from the heart.
So but let me make sure I got the age down though. So this Milwaukee County students, graduating students. So they need to be, that's not that rising, is that the rising senior? Because I know when they changed all this language, I'm like, I ain't got time for that. Is this 11th grade or the 12th grade? But I know when people talk about it, they're like, yeah, if this is for rising seniors. So this is for seniors, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to already be a senior.
Yep.
Okay. Graduating in the spring.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. And so this is $1,000 scholarship. And what do they have to do?
They have to write, they have to fill out an application, and then they also at the end have to write a short essay.
Okay. So when you say short, because kids that get technical. We talk
Right.
250 words, we talk 500.
Yeah, and it's a little under than 500.
Okay. Okay. So essay. And then there's a panel, I'm assuming, that judges this whole thing.
Yep.
So have any of you ever sat on the panel and done the reading?
Yeah.
Okay. So look, everybody cheesing real hard. So that meant that you have read some good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Can you give an example of some of the things that some of the kids have said?
Oh man, I wish I brought it with me, but you could check it out on our website.
Oh, it's on the website?
Yep, they're full essays. Yep.
Really?
So
give the
people can get
website so
inspired.
people can go check it out.
Yeah, so if people go to ridemcts.com/scholarship, that's where all the information will be, and then we'll have links to past scholarship essays.
So let me ask this question, because I run into this in all honesty and candor. There are a number of people that put scholarships out there. There are not enough children that take advantage of them, particularly young children of color, specifically Black children.
Right.
So how was the response to the scholarship program been? And particularly, and I just got to be honest, in terms of Black children as well, responding and taking advantage of this.
Yeah, so every year, the number of students that apply increases. So last year, I think we got a little over maybe 200 students that applied.
That's good.
And so it just increases, and I hope we get a lot more this year. And honestly, we get students from all over Milwaukee County, from Brown Deer, just all over Milwaukee County. And that's like the special part about it. So we reach out to the schools too, to the counselors, and let them know that the scholarship is coming. And they get excited and they apply. So...
Yeah. And I was to add that from the essays that I've read, they've I know they've come from multicultural backgrounds. Like I think last year I read an essay from a young woman who was of Hmong descent, and she was talking about how she wanted to challenge stereotypes of Hmong women.
So it leads me to something Samaya had said before we actually started the on-air interview, was just this piece about making sure we appreciate inclusivity and the fact that, it takes all kinds of folks to be at a table to make something work. It's always better when you have a mix of ideas and backgrounds and perspectives, and you get pushed out your comfort zone. Sometimes you don't like what you hear. How dare you challenge me and tell me I'm thinking about this from tunnel vision or only the perspective of, but you walk away, even if I don't admit it in that moment, and like, man, I didn't really think about it that way. Samaya, you brought up inclusivity to me. Why is that so relevant and important right now?
Well, I think it's important. So for a couple of reasons. Like one, if you think about like a lot of the movements that have taken place throughout history, civil rights has impacted the advocacy efforts of many other groups as well. When you think about like our Native and Indigenous brothers and sisters who've been working, for a long time at this. Another thing recently, I just came from the Government Alliance for Racial Equity Conference, and there were a lot of comments around the importance of like multiracial solidarity as we're continuing to do advocacy work. And so when you think about the long-standing policies and systemic things that have contributed to oppression, like, we're not going to be able to solve that overnight, and we can't do it by ourselves, right? And so I think that if we're bigger and we're stronger together, and so if we're able to find some opportunities around commonalities to advocate together, when you think about like Black and Brown people, just as an example, there's very similar experiences that a lot of like Black folks have had. And one last thing, and then I'll stop. So I was recently at the Southside Organizing Center, and they were celebrating with Congresswoman Gwen Moore and Barbara Lee about a federal earmark that they received. And so one of the people who was there was Jose Salas, who's written books and who's done a lot of amazing work. And so he was talking about Barbara Lee and both his experience in Texas. And then I was like, oh my God, same kind of experience that my grandfather had, which brought him to Milwaukee in the 40s, right? So experienced, segregation, experienced all kinds of oppression, tried to go to the army to be able to improve his life. And then after the army came to Milwaukee, very similar experience that many like Mexicans had, right? Who were from East Texas. So inclusivity is important because if we're able to really look at the commonalities instead of what divides us, then I think we can be stronger as we're continuing to do some of these advocacy efforts.
So let me just say this, and just to pivot, you made me think about when you were talking, but to pivot back to something about the scholarships. So I was at a meeting last night, and a brother came up to me who was talking about military veterans, and just a number of challenges that people face. And one of the things I was just sitting here thinking about is we have, when people think about scholarships, okay, we think about trade schools, 4-year institutions, 2-year technical colleges, because the idea is that you're going to advance your career. So I don't know where this came from, but while I was sitting here, I was going, why don't kids that are looking at going to the military, why are they not able to participate in some of these scholarship programs? Because just like I used to say about particularly young kids who had come from challenging financial situations, I just got a full ride to Purdue. I ain't got no money to get there. I just got a full $40,000 scholarship from GE, but that check is not going to get to the school until at least the second, third week after I arrive. So I still got to have money to eat, to something while I'm there. And so a lot of these kids are able to utilize dollars in that way. So I was thinking about, I thought, because I just had this conversation with a young brother who enlisted in the military, and I gave him money to tide him over until certain things began to happen for him. And I was just like, because all of this is about advancement, but we don't necessarily, because and a brother just said something to me last night at this MPS meeting. He said, Michelle, MPS does a great job of keeping the military out. Because a lot of people believed, I think at one time, the military was preying on young Black men, trying to get them in, you front lines, most likely to get hurt, maimed, harmed, or whatever. So people got protective, I think, about letting the military in. But I just wanted to throw that out there as we have conversations about how we look out for students, because there is a demographic of kids that'll go and join that, you just kind of on your own. And so, because we're all looking to better ourselves, we're all looking for ways to advance. So when you talked about the similarities, and this is a technical question, I'm gonna throw it out there. I don't anticipate an answer because people was like, that ain't my lane. But I think it was alluded to a little bit when we first started. People are worried with the current climate that we are in about programs that think about inclusivity. While the Rosa Parks piece is universal in terms of human rights and dignity, there would be people that would challenge that this is a DEI initiative. This is something that highlights a Black woman specifically, and you got to be careful about the wording and how to talk about it. I worry every time I see Milwaukee County Office of Equity that the day is going to come when I'll see y'all. Because the current labeling of the very work that you do as being woke and reverse discrimination, reverse racism. And I look at y'all, because y'all all came in here beaming and smiling, and we love the work that we do. You can tell people like their job. You can. Or y'all just some great actresses. And every day ain't perfect. I ain't crazy. But if I believe in it, it makes it bearable to get up and go do it every day. Or it makes me want to go fight to make sure that it So if I could just for a second, just with you all being professionals and working in a department and agencies connected, how do you manage to stay positive about the work that you do? Because some of y'all at some point could be worried about your own livelihood, particularly if you are, an entity that receives federal dollars and people are saying, if you got anything that in any way looks like DEI, equity is a dirty word, we will dry up funding. How you compartmentalize that and show up every day and keep fighting?
I'm going to tell you, this has been a really challenging last few weeks after the election, to have the work that we do somehow be like villainized is disheartening. And from a professional standpoint, there was some level of fear that I had, but also from a personal standpoint, I'm a woman, a Black woman. And what I had to tell myself was two things. I'm not going to operate from a spirit of fear. And my dedication, I'm from this community, born and raised. My dedication to this community, my dedication to the work that I'm going to do will stand. And so I just had to fight the fight because the work has to get done.
How about you, Samaya?
So I think the other thing that we don't want to do is we've been talking quite a bit about this notion of anticipatory compliance. So because of fear, we're already starting to like dull down or shift or change or not do.
And let me just say for the folks that are listening, when you talk about anticipatory compliance, so you see Target saying, Walmart saying, we had supplier diversity programs. We're going to be scaling those back or reviewing or eliminating, so people in anticipation of what's to come.
Yes, are already scaling back. And so we've made the commitment not to do that, right? Like what do you say, go big or go home? So we're going to try to, like our best to stay true to the mission. The other thing that we're really looking at is like living conditions, right? Like if we think about like Milwaukee County and our mission is really around improving the quality of life for people who live here. And so if we look at like what are the needs of people who live in Milwaukee in 53206, what are the needs of people who live in Milwaukee 53214 over on the south side? How does that differ for people who live in South Milwaukee, and so if we're looking at like the needs of people across Milwaukee County, like we're all representatives of everybody who lives in Milwaukee County. And so we have a responsibility to improve the quality of life and to advocate for resources and investments and programs and care, to support people across the county. And so if we're able to stay true to that, I mean, I think that's the thing that keeps me grounded right now.
How about you, Bilta?
Man, there's a lot I could say, but I'm going to keep it short. I try not to make sense out of nonsense, honestly.
Okay.
Take it one day.
What was the name you gave her? What was it? What was your name?
Geraldine.
No, that's Josephine. What did he call you, Milton?
I think what you said, Geraldine.
Geraldine. Because that sounds like some old school Geraldine type wisdom right there. Stop trying to make sense out of nonsense, girl.
My thought process has been like, and I kind of take it one step at a time. I think the one thing that's keeping me pushing is how much I do love my job. Like you said, like I love what I do. I love the fact that I get to work with people not only within the company, but outside in the community. That's what keeps me going and keeps me pushing. And like I said, I take it one day at a time. And
look, you can see her having a whole woo side. Right. Like you breathe. If you breathe, you're going to be all right. Yeah. Just breathe. How about you, Jackie?
First I want to say I go hard for my community. I may not be someone who is literally pounding the pavement, showing up at all the protests, but I'm in the background. I'm trying to help make influential changes in the capacity that I can. I'd say that first. Two, one of the things that Samaya always shares is intersectionality, and I think that's one of the things that I try to do with my role is try to highlight, explain what those connections are to all of us. Because I think if people realize how what the needs that I'm facing connect to the needs that you're facing, and that if they're addressed our needs, not just my needs or your needs, but if our needs are addressed, then we all move forward. It's kind of like one thing that the county executive, I'm just name dropping today, the county executive always says, David Crawley, and that is, a rising tide lifts all boats.
He says so much, he get on my nerves. He say it all the time. Oh my God. I'm like, I hate when you learn that phrase. Yeah. But because it's true though.
It's true.
And
it's true.
he lives it. So, to his credit, I guess.
Yeah.
But he loved that little phrase, child. You are so right. But continue, please.
Yeah. And so, it's people, that's just the challenge because we have a lot of fear out there. But if, again, within my lane, if I can help people not be afraid, like this is what the work is being done. You don't have to be afraid because it's going to help you too. It don't have to be afraid that it's just going to help them. It's going to help you too, because we got too many forces out here, too many people who thrive on fear because fear divides. And I'm going deep now, y'all. Mr. Campus apparent.
Did you drop down?
Yeah, going deep. And I'm a child of light. So as a child of light, I want to again use my capacity, use my role, no matter where I am, to bring that light forward.
She was deep, y'all. She dropped down when she said it. So let me really we doing poetry.
We can't drop the mic.
Are we figure snapping up here? Thank you, Debo. Thank you so much. So let me see if I can bring it back to kind of where we started, as we get ready to close out. So as Black women, a lot of people talked about, just as women for a moment, the presidential election that we just had, will women ever break that glass ceiling? I don't care what side of the political aisle you fall on. Will we ever break that glass ceiling in terms of finally ascending to be that office holder in terms of president? And I've seen other articles. Essence just did one where they talked about Black women saying, yeah, I'm done. Because I feel like we keep showing up, folks ain't showing up for us, or we keep showing up and we can't never seem to get across this little line. And I think about a Rosa Parks and all that meant in terms of her work. So just real quickly, I hear my music in the background, even though it's 8:46, and you need to. And so am I taking a break or am I ending? You're in them all together? All right, so now, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So let me do this then. A Rosa Parks tribute. Just in a word or two, what would you say about what Rosa Parks' significance is to you as a woman and a Black woman or a woman of color, as we end up this tribute that the county has done for her? So Maya, I'll start with you.
Say justice.
Justice?
Yeah.
Oh, that was sweet. Okay. Short, sweet.
I would say courage, and I will continue to have that courage even through these times too.
My girl.
Resilience.
Look at that. Love, talented, educated folks. Yeah, come on, lights.
Yeah, it's sometimes when we're sitting, we're actually making a stand.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh my God, you're gonna ready. She's like, I can't, Michelle. I can't hold back the light. It's just, y'all cannot see the hate on my face when I sit here like, she get on my nerves. Because that was really actually very clever.
And it was the perfect close.
It was, until I ruined it with my hate. Acting like Keith Paris up in here.
But you know what? As Black women, we got to deal with that too.
Yeah.
Look, y'all, it is always a pleasure when I see strong sisters walking through, when I understand the roles that you are in, how our community directly benefits from your presence and your advocacy. We are stronger because you are in these roles. I appreciate the work and the leadership of the county exec in making sure that there are folks in place that have either, if they were there before he got there, we continued it. And if it wasn't, we created it. So thank y'all for what y'all do. And I know Miss Rosa is smiling.
Oh, thanks.
All right, family, that's a wrap for me. Remind people one more time where they can go to get the scholarship information, what they need to do.
Yep, they can go to ridemcts.com/scholarship.
Perfect. Jackie, you do good. I mean, you bring me amazing people, man. You do good.
Oh, thank you.
All right, family. So that is a wrap for the show today. Carvey. Oh, you ain't got no mic. They stole your mic. Appreciate you, bro. He got a mic over there still? Oh, hey, Carvey. Thank you, bro. And we'll get together and convene about how we're going to talk about Debo this afternoon. You good? You good with that? Debo?
Yes.
Okay. More name dropping. Do y'all know my cousin, Dwayne Reese? Does it open doors? Name dropping. You and Jackie need to start a club. All right. With that, that's a wrap for the show. I'll talk to y'all this afternoon. Michelle Bryant, say something real. Talk to y'all later. Peace. Thank you, lady.
No solution. And speaking words, some healing words, some feeling words, baby, yeah. Say what you want, girl. You know that I need you.